Hi everyone, welcome to UPSC Tree. So this is a brief discussion of GS2 paper of UPSC 2023. Let's look at the questions. If you look at, broadly, if you look at the question paper, 60 to 70% of the paper was predictable and doable, whereas 30 to 40% there is bit of abstractness is there. Okay. Nonetheless, let's look at the question. Question number 1: constitutionally guaranteed judicial independence is a prerequisite of democracy. See, democracy will exist if there is checks and balance. Otherwise, it may turn into autocracy. That is the reason why separation of power is there. And DPSP में जो article है वो article number दे देना separation of power का. Apart from that, we gave this particular question in a different format in our test series as well. That why separation of power is considered as a key instrument for democratic polity, and critically analyze the separation of power in Indian context. This is from our test series. More or less the answer 70 to 80% is similar. Okay. While you are talking about judicial independence, you have to talk about, as per constitution, what are the things that is there which makes our judiciary independent. See, if you look at appointment, security of tenure, service conditions, judiciary has financial autonomy, conduct of judges cannot be questioned. Okay. They cannot practice after once they retire. They can punish anyone if that particular person or organization is in contempt of that court orders or directives. Jurisdiction cannot be curtailed, separation from executive, these things are there. Apart from that, there has been some judicial innovation that has ensured that judiciary is staying away from the executive sphere of influence. That is, they are doing through collegium system, through basic structure doctrine. Judicial review is part of the basic structure doctrine. Okay, judicial independence is part of basic structure. These are the things you can mention, but by and large you have to give the article number and discuss the things that I mentioned here. Doable topic, easy topic. Question number 2 is asking about NALSA. See, we have right to free legal aid, but then again it is conditional. Why I am calling it conditional? Suppose you have a case in Supreme Court and you cannot afford a lawyer, then the Supreme Court will appoint a lawyer on behalf of you. The government or Supreme Court will appoint a lawyer on behalf of you, and that is what is called right to free legal aid. अगर Supreme Court में केस है, I think recent stipulation is that your annual income should be less than 5 lakh, then and only then you will be eligible to right to free legal aid. So that's why I call it conditional. Nonetheless, a doable topic है. Now, NALSA के ऊपर we gave a prelims, prelims test series चल रहा है, उसका एक question दिए थे, in which we asked what are the statement not correct to NALSA. I think 3 of the 10 mark question है. If you have 3 questions or 3 or 4 statements, then you can write that and you get the marks. Its objective is to monitor and evaluate implementation of legal aid programs. That is correct. Chief Justice of India is the patron in chief of NALSA. That is also correct. It is housed in Supreme Court. That is also correct. It does not formulate policy of state and district legal services authority. ये गलत है because ये prelims वाला question है. But then again, it does formulate the policies of state and district legal service authority. Okay. And how success it has been, and you have to do the assessment. That means ये थोड़ा critical analysis करना पड़ेगा. How success it has been providing free legal aid in India. Here you can talk about judicial backlog and see most of the time when you get a government lawyer, their competency can be questioned. Okay, that you can bring in. Okay, when you pay for a lawyer, obviously you will go and pay or hire a good lawyer for yourself. But when the government is appointing some lawyer to fight on behalf of you, most of the time क्या होता है, the lawyer is mostly a novice lawyer or not a very competent lawyer. So even though the person is getting free legal aid, is it a fair representation of your client or not? That question you can bring in here. Okay, ऐसे लिख सकते हो आप आराम से. 10 mark question, so I think this should be enough to write. Moving on, question number 3. The states in India seem reluctant to empower urban local bodies both functionally as well as financially. True. देखो there is an interesting saying, हमें decentralization पता है और we like decentralization, until our own level. We have always seen that state government ask center कि हमें ये पावर दे दो, हमें वो पावर दे दो, but when it comes to themselves, they will not let go of the power. Okay, that is what is happening over here. Even though urban local bodies are we have through our 73rd 74th constitutional amendment के हिसाब से that became these are constitutional bodies nonetheless and center has devolved or given the power to states to further provide funds, provide regulatory authority, all those things to the urban local bodies. But यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है, most of the states are not devolving the taxation powers, the legal powers to the local bodies. Okay, so इसके ऊपर मैं ज़्यादा डिस्कस नहीं करूँगा क्योंकि यूपीएससी ट्री में एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग केस स्टडी है एंड आई थिंक दैट विल आंसर ऑल योर क्वेश्चंस एज फार एज अर्बन लोकल बॉडी इज कंसर्न. ये आर्टिकल पर्टिकुलरली है, केस स्टडी बेंगलुरु का है, बट दिस कवर्स बाय एंड लार्ज एवरीथिंग एंड ब्यूटिफुली यू कैन राइट आंसर टू दिस क्वेश्चन. द आर्टिकल इज अर्बन लोकल गवर्नेंस इन इंडिया, केस स्टडी बेंगलुरु. ये यूपीएससी ट्री में जाके सर्च कर लेना ये नाम से, यू विल गेट द आर्टिकल, रीड दैट एंड यू शुड बी एबल टू राइट ब्यूटिफुल आंसर. Moving on, question number 4, compare and contrast the British and Indian approach to parliamentary sovereignty. See, India में parliament, in Britain parliament is sovereign. In Britain parliament is sovereign. That means if the parliament is bringing any law, it cannot be questioned by the judiciary. Judicial review का concept ही नहीं है वहाँ पे. So parliament is supreme over there. India में क्या है? In India, even if the parliament is bringing a law, it can be questioned by the Supreme Court and it can be questioned by the High Court. That is under, that is under what we call, or that principle what we call judicial review. And say, so obviously Indian parliament is not so, does not have sovereignty because they can be questioned. So obviously Britain has complete sovereignty whereas India has almost, even though the parliament do create laws, they can be questioned, so they don't have sovereignty. That is because mostly because the kind of history we had. Okay, Britain as a country itself gave all the freedom and fundamental rights to its citizens, so their parliament was very good for their country, so the judiciary never has to come in and question the parliament. But India में क्या हुआ, the same parliament terrorized and harassed and took away our fundamental rights and harassed us during British regime. So that is the reason why we wanted there should be checks and balances, जो ब्रिटेन में नहीं है इंडिया में है. इसके ऊपर मैंने टेस्ट सीरीज में क्वेश्चन भी दिया था, मेंस टेस्ट सीरीज में. इंडियन सिस्टम इज ए परफेक्ट ब्लेंड ऑफ जुडिशियरी सुप्रीमेसी along with parliamentary sovereignty. We have limited sovereignty and judicial supremacy है, ब्रिटेन में जुडिशियल सुप्रीमेसी नहीं है. सो यहाँ पे क्या करोगे आप, देखो इन द आंसर ऑल्सो आई हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट यू हैव टू बिट ऑफ यूएसए में जुडिशियरी सुप्रीम है, यूके में द पार्लियामेंट इज सुप्रीम. ओके, सो एटलीस्ट कनाडा की ज़रूरत नहीं है, एटलीस्ट यूएस एंड यूके, बिकॉज द क्वेश्चन इज आस्किंग अबाउट यूके एंड इंडिया, सो यूके एंड इंडिया यू कैन डिस्कस. ओके, डूएबल क्वेश्चन, इजी क्वेश्चन. Question number 5, discuss the role of presiding officer of state legislature in maintaining order and impartiality in conducting legislative work and in facilitating best democratic practices. There is specifically asking how the speaker, we have legislative council तो बहुत कम है, mostly we have state legislative assembly, how the speaker upholds what democratic practice as well as how he upholds or she upholds impartiality and does maintain order. Okay, so these are the three things. Obviously speaker का role आपको सबको पता है. They can, how they maintain order by punishing someone if they violate the rules and procedures and decorum of the legislative assembly, can be punished. Impartiality, when they give or allow the opposing voice a fair amount of time, attention, etc., then they can ensure impartiality. And conducting legislative one, best democratic practices. Best democratic practices not only within the house but also through different committees, etc. The inclusion of differing voices, opposing voices, and creating an inclusive structure to have a democratic principle based structure that can be ensured by the speaker. So in this slide you have to write the answer. The crucial aspect of development process has been the inadequate attention paid to human resource development in India. Suggest measures that can address this inadequacy. See, here they are broadly asking you to talk about, say, when we talk about developmental process, we are trying to go for development since the days of 1950s. So यहाँ पे little bit of criticism of planning commission करना पड़ेगा थोड़ा, ठीक है, because planning commission era, if you see, for some 5 years they focused on agriculture, for another 5 years they focused on heavy industry, then so that kind of and we barely spend much money. When we say human resource development, most important aspect are two things. One is education, second is health. If you have a educated healthy population, that means your human capital of that country is very good. So education and health, and how much we have been spending on education and health from the times of planning commission, we already know that. अगर आप education and health को देखोगे, the ideal limit should be 6% around of GDP, but we are spending very less. And एजुकेशन में आप कह सकते हो कि प्राइमरी एजुकेशन एंड राइट टू एजुकेशन बहुत बाद में आया. वी गॉट इंडिपेंडेंस सो अर्ली, बट राइट टू एजुकेशन एंड एजुकेशन एज ए फंडामेंटल राइट बहुत बाद में आया. वो बता सकते हो आप यहाँ पे दैट द स्लो हाउ लेट वी आर टू फोकस ऑन एजुकेशन, फोकस ऑन हेल्थ. अभी भी इंडिया में आउट ऑफ पॉकेट एक्सपेंडिचर इज़ अराउंड 60%. ओके, ये एक बर्डन है, बिगेस्ट बर्डन ऑन आवर पोर. सो इसके बारे में आप बता सकते हो. ओके, वी सी इफ यू लुक एट, यू कैन ऑल्सो डू ए कंपेरिजन. इफ यू लुक एट साउथ कोरिया, इफ यू लुक एट जापान, दीज आर द कंट्रीज which have invested or which had invested hugely on their human resource, because they didn't have much physical resource, so they have hugely invested on their human resource, who created a developed economy for themselves. Okay, India didn't do that. We are trying to do that now. Okay, so that aspect you can mention. And how do you then you have to give some suggestions. Okay, डुएबल क्वेश्चन, इजी क्वेश्चन. हाँ, ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट के बारे में बात कर रहे हो, यहाँ पे और एक चीज़ कर सकते हो आप. यू कैन टॉक अबाउट ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट एंड इन ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट रिपोर्ट ऑल्सो, और ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स, that data you can quote, that how India has been progressing over the years. Towards the conclusion you can give it a positive spin. Okay, और एक चीज़ यहाँ पे डाल सकते हो, कोविड-19 dimension भी you can put in your answer, and if you bring in COVID-19 dimension, you can show that how whatever the development that we advanced in human resource aspect, then we regressed. So that aspect you can, or how COVID-19 nullified all our human resource development, that also you can show over here. Discuss the question number 7. Discuss the role of Competition Commission of India, that is CCI, and the abuse of dominant position by multinational corporations in India. Refer to the recent decisions. So interesting. This is a current affairs based question. ये ज़्यादा लक्ष्मीकांत में कुछ ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं है इसका. So we know that Competition Commission of India throughout the year news पे था. It's a statutory body under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, and it implements what? That means इसका policy to provide a level playing field to all the players, and this is against monopoly. Okay, now Competition Commission of India, यहाँ ये जो न्यूज़ पे था ये, it find Google. See, अगर आप Google is the development of Android devices, and वहाँ पे डिफ़ॉल्ट क्या है, गूगल सर्च इंजन है, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट गूगल सर्च इंजन इज गेटिंग मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ maximum ad revenue. So it is kind of a monopoly and predatory practice by the Google, and against the spirit of competition. That's why they have been fined somewhere around more than 1,000 1300 crores by the Competition Commission of India. और एक issue भी था, Google also fought against Competition Commission of India saying that CCI is favoring Amazon and not favoring us, that kind of thing was going on. Okay. और दो चार एग्जाम्पल भी है इसका. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑल्सो gave a verdict saying that Coal India Limited does come under competition does come under Competition Act 2002. That was also there in the news, but वो एक fringe element है. Major element is this. E-governance as a critical tool of governance has ushered in effectiveness, transparency, accountability in governments. What inadequacies hamper the enhancement of these features? So obviously, say, we gave this question in our test series as well, means what do you understand by e-governance? Critically analyze the e-governance model of India and highlights its limitations. Similar question, more or less. Okay, so if you look at e-governance, you have to briefly define what is e-governance. Okay, how it has reduced corruption. You can give some examples also. Say Co-Win platform, pura COVID-19 vaccine management was possible for a billion plus population because of e-governance. So some good examples you can give. Also e-governance we have created, because of e-governance we have created some public goods, जैसे Co-Win platform हो गया, आधार ये हो गया, all that. Okay. Now it helped us reduce duplicacy, reduce leakage, ये वो तो आपको सबको पता है, लिख सकते हो, ठीक है. What are the inadequacy that hamper the enhancement of these features? Mostly see in India, digital literacy यहाँ पे you have to write. Okay. Although the country wants to jump into completely a digital economy, a country governed through electronic measures, but our digital literacy is low. That is the reason why there has been a lot of frauds, cyber frauds, bank frauds, very different. Jamtara you might have seen. So there are different variations of the issue going on because of lack of digital literacy in India. Literacy तो नहीं है, digital literacy तो और भी खराब है. Even if a person is literate, that not necessarily means that he is a digitally literate person. So that is a bigger issue, and that is a major roadblock for e-governance as well. Okay, this aspect you can write. Also e-governance in our connectivity, network connectivity, that issue is also there, that you can write. Moving on, doable question है वो. A virus of conflict is affecting the functioning of SCO. In the light of the above the statement, point out the role of India in mitigating the problems. Okay, India khud is at the center of all the conflicts actually. So India can use Shanghai Cooperation Organization as a platform to solve the issues, but I don't think it is going to, from a realistic perspective, there is not going to be much coming out of SCO, because देखो यहाँ पे क्या है, it is a, first you should remember that it is a Eurasian political, economic, international security and defense organization. Okay. So political and international security and defense organization. So when that is there, obviously what China is doing is threatening our sovereignty, our defense. So, and this is a organization created on the behest of Russia and China. So obviously यहाँ पे बहुत सारे conflict issue है. India China conflict you can talk about here. डोकलाम इशू हो गया, बेल्ट एंड रोड इनिशिएटिव जो है, चाइना पाकिस्तान इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर, व्हिच थ्रेटन्स आवर सोवरेनिटी, ये सब लिख सकते हो आप. इंडिया पाकिस्तान वाला इशू तो सबको पता है, लिख सकते हो आराम से. 2 अदर मेंबर्स आर देयर, किर्गिस्तान एंड ताजिकिस्तान, दे आर फाइटिंग, दे हैव बॉर्डर फाइट्स. अफगानिस्तान इज नाउ अंडर द ऑक्यूपेशन ऑफ तालिबान, दैट इशू इज ऑल्सो देयर. सो ये जो कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रिडन एरिया है, and that competition going on between India and China on different arenas, avenues, etc. And when two powers fighting with each other and mistrust each other, there is a higher doubt that how effective this particular organization is going to be. India can try and use this organization to solve or use it as a platform to solve these issues, but we haven't seen any positive outcomes coming from China or coming from, say, mostly China and Pakistan. We haven't seen anything good coming out of these countries and out of this SCO till now. Maybe in future there might be some changes. Similar kind of question we gave in our test series. Critically examine the aim and objective of SEO. What importance does it hold for India? Same यहाँ पे importance, इंडिया का importance क्या है, इंडिया क्या कर सकता है, क्वेश्चन में भी वही हम पूछे थे. Indian diaspora has scaled new heights in the West. Describe its economic and political benefits for India. See, they are talking about West. Be very careful about that. When they are talking about West, we are talking about USA, Europe, etc. Okay. We are not, so that means we are not talking about the Indian diaspora in Middle East or Gulf countries. See, India, by and large, if I try to categorize, by and large, India has two kinds of diaspora. One is blue collar workers, mostly concentrated in Middle Eastern countries, and white collar high paying workers who are concentrated in USA, Europe, etc. So the question is specifically asking the white collar high paying, high intellect group or cohort of Indian diaspora. Okay, so these are white collar high caliber workers. Now I am not going to discuss this question. यहाँ पे दो आर्टिकल है जो EPSC ट्री में ऑलरेडी है. You can search it and read it. Will give you comprehensive idea what to write for this particular question. Indian diaspora pushed US to help India's COVID efforts. That is one of the example. Another है diaspora was revisiting a passage from India. So comprehensively covers this issue and you can easily write a good answer from these two articles. Question number 11. The Constitution of India is a living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. It is a constitution made for progressive society. इतना बड़ा स्टेटमेंट कोई काम का नहीं है. क्वेश्चन यहाँ पे है हमारा, illustrate with special to the expanding horizon of the right to life and personal liberty. I always tell my students that the only thing that is expanding is Article 21, that is right to life. अभी के पुत्तुस्वामी केस रिसेंटली था, right to privacy case. Okay. Same question we have given in our main test series, that right to life is an ever evolving, ever changing dimension of fundamental rights. Discuss with appropriate examples. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे जितने सारे आर्टिकल 21 का रिसेंट एक्सपांशंस हुआ है वही लिखना है. ठीक है. Question number 12. Explain the constitutional perspective of gender justice with the help of relevant constitutional provisions and case laws. Okay. Provisions and case laws. You need to know the laws also. Okay. Similar kind of question we gave in our test series. The gender inequality in India is not only economic but also societal, political, behavioral, cultural, and is an irony in itself. Discuss. Similar kind of question. Thoda language is changed. See, when we say justice, it is social, political and economic justice, जो हमारे preamble में mention है. So same, political, economic, societal, ये सब question में. And when you discuss about gender justice, you have to talk about these things as well. Okay, societal, political, economic. Okay, you can add these angles also, behavioral, cultural, etc. Okay. And gender justice also you can talk about gender budgeting as well in this answer. Okay. Doable question I am not going to discuss too much because I think if you are well prepared you will be able to answer this question. Question number 13. Account for the legal and political factors responsible for the reduced frequency of using Article 356 by the Union government since mid 90s. See, 356 कुछ नहीं है. This is all about president's rule. Okay. Now यहाँ पे SR बोमाई केस में क्या हुआ? President's rule became subject to judicial review. So now, if a government is going for president's rule and there is no reasonableness behind that decision, Supreme Court can struck down saying that this presidential rule is not appropriate or not genuine. Okay. So obviously because after Supreme SR Bomai case, now government started using president's rule sparingly because now the Supreme Court can question them. That is one major achievement. Second major achievement is anti-defection law. Anti-defection law became operative since 2001, even though they have brought it around say 1985, it was passed only in 2001. So that you can write, that is, those are the legal and constitutional, legal and case laws के बारे में लिख सकते हो, ये सर्वमय केस है, ये लिख सकते हो. And then political is that कि if you see from 1990s onwards, we see rise of regional parties who have a good hold over their particular state or particular region. Okay, so take Tamil Nadu, take Andhra Pradesh, take Telangana, take Odisha, take West Bengal. Okay, so take Punjab. So regional parties have consolidated themselves. Maharashtra में भी ठीक है. So regional parties have consolidated themselves and horse trading जो है वो कम हो गया है, and आयाराम गायाराम जो principle था वो भी कम हो गया है. That's why most of the governments are functioning according in an accordance with the constitution. So president's rule लगाना कम हो गया है. Okay. So another thing is political maturity. We are as a as a country we are politically maturing, we are democratically maturing. That brings this dimensions too. And we have a strong functioning media, which is fourth pillar of democracy. So yes. Question number 14. Discuss the contribution of civil society groups for women's effective and meaningful participation and representation in state legislatures in India. यहाँ पे you should know examples of any particular civil society that have advocated the women's cause, specifically representation of women in state legislatures. If you don't know the example, most of your answer will be abstract, to be honest. And little bit difficult है क्योंकि ये एग्जाम्पल बहुत ही फ्रिंज एलिमेंट है. ओके, बट देन अगेन अभी जो चल रहा है वुमेन रिजर्वेशन बिल, had they brought it little earlier, at least students could have written the answer. But now you have to cook up an answer to this question. See, you cannot score say it is a 15 marker question. You cannot score say 12 or 13 out of 15, but at least you can score. You can cook up an answer to get say 7 to 8 marks, at least 7 marks. Question number 15. Explain the significance of the 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. To what extent does it reflect the accommodative spirit of federalism? 101st Constitutional Amendment Act is nothing but enablement of GST, goods and services tax. So it is talking about federalism. Two things you need to know, because it is a tax law. So we are talking about federalism in regulation and federalism in fiscal matters. Okay. Is it accommodative? Yes. क्यों? क्योंकि GST का जो है GST रेट चेंज करना है, yeah, all that, you need to have a GST council, you need to have a quorum, and the states have a say. Fiscal federalism कैसा है? क्योंकि some part of the money goes to the state, so there is a already functioning agreement is there, so it is very accommodative, and so that ensures GST council. इसका एग्जाम्पल देके आप दिखा सकते हो कैसे फिजिकल फेडरलिज्म है. रेगुलेशन है. क्यों? देखो, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंगली ये प्रीलिम्स में हमारे प्रीलिम्स टेस्ट सीरीज में मैंने एक क्वेश्चन दिया था, दैट इज देयर एनी टैक्स लॉ. द क्वेश्चन एसेंशियली द क्वेश्चन इज ऑल अबाउट कि इज देयर एनी टैक्स लॉ, और आई गेव 4 ऑप्शन सेइंग दैट व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग हैड is in concurrent list. Okay, till now, till GST, India never had a tax which was in the concurrent list. Okay, but GST is in concurrent list. That is the beauty of it, and that shows the accommodative spirit of federalism. ये prelims में मैंने question दिया था actually, but yeah, that knowledge you can use it here. Okay, because GST is part of concurrent list, so the states can do the amendments within their region or state, while the center can take care of other things. Okay. Question number 16. Explain the structure of parliamentary committee system. Okay. यहाँ पे आपको स्ट्रक्चर बताना है. ये पूरा लक्ष्मीकांत में है, आराम से बता सकते हो पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटी के बारे में. हाउ फॉर हैव द फाइनेंशियल कमिटीज हेल्प्ड इन द इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइजेशन ऑफ इंडियन पार्लियामेंट. सी पार्लियामेंट्री फाइनेंशियल कमिटीज जो है, दे वेर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू क्रिएट fiscal prudence in India. They they hold the government of the day accountable. If they have spent something, they hold that government of the day accountable. Okay, so that you can talk about. Okay, we have financial committee जैसे हो गया, public accounts committee. Okay, PAC, public accounts committee, they work in tandem with comptroller and auditor general of India, and यहाँ पे public accounts committee is mostly headed by an opposition leader. ये आप दिखा सकते हो, ठीक है, and they question the government on the fiscal prudence. So that aspect, when CAG submits its report to the PAC and all that, they can question government. They can hold the government of the day responsible if they have gone for some irresponsible expenditure. The government can be questioned. So that ensures there is degree of responsibility. They ensure responsibility, accountability of the government. That example you can give. You can give example of public accounts committee and CAG and how they work. Should be able to write the answer then. Development and welfare schemes for vulnerable by its nature are discriminatory in approach. Do you agree? Give reasons for your answer. Say, when you create a scheme, so this is your population. When you create a scheme, there is a targeted beneficiary group. That means rest of the population is excluded. So obviously it is discriminatory. No doubt about it. Okay. However, this is done because it is to advance the or for the welfare of the vulnerable groups. That means this discrimination is known as positive discrimination. In other words, it is also known as जैसे रिजर्वेशन हो गया. Reservation is affirmative action, isn't it? See, there are some group or some section of society who throughout the history have been subjugated and marginalized. To uplift them, we are going for affirmative action or positive discrimination. That means obviously discrimination, the element of discrimination is there, but it is a positive discrimination. Now, recently USA में भी they started accepting the concept of affirmative action. They have, I think their federal court allowed affirmative action or positive discrimination in their universities. I think ऐसा कुछ न्यूज़ चल रहा था. So obviously they are discriminatory, but this discrimination is known as positive discrimination. Do you agree? Give reasons for your answer. Yes, discrimination है, but ये positive discrimination दिखा देना. Give reasons for your answer. Another aspect is जब रिजर्वेशन हुआ या when we went for reservation and all that, they violated the principle of equality. Okay, and it was challenged before Supreme Court as well. मंडल केस के बाद, ये केस के बाद बहुत बार हुआ है, ठीक है. Supreme Court said that ठीक है, it challenges the idea of equality. There is no doubt about it, but there is some degree of reasonableness in this particular discrimination. So it is not something that we can struck it down. So that aspect also, that example also you can give it here. Moving on, skill development programs have succeeded in increasing human resource supply to various sectors. In the context of statement, analyze the linkage between education, skill and employment. Education, skill and employment. If you are educated, that does not necessarily mean that you have the skill set. ठीक है, we have a big mismatch between education and skill set. In IT sector, almost there was a very interesting saying, na, almost 80-90% of our engineers are unemployable. They cannot be put into jobs directly without providing them training. Why? Because they don't have the skill set to do the job. They might have the education, but that education does not serve the market needs. So there is a very big gap between education and skill set. ठीक है, the market is demanding something, our education is teaching us something else. Okay, so that mismatch you have to discuss over here. Apart from that, employment. So broadly this question can be discussed. You can talk about our skill missions जितने सारे गवर्नमेंट कर रहे हैं अभी. प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना 4.0. Now 4.0 they are going to skill our youth on say industry 4.0, industry 4.0 technology, for example artificial intelligence, internet of things, 3D printing, ये जितने सारे, that IR 4.8, the whole world is undergoing industrial revolution 4.0, and the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana is going to upskill our youth and give them training on the or skill them according to the needs of the market now. So Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, Skill India Mission, jitne sare, all that you can discuss over here. Okay. Question number 19. The expansion and strengthening of NATO and a stronger US-Europe strategic partnership works well for India. What is your opinion about this statement? See, if it's very interesting. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Suppose if India supports complete expansion and strengthening of NATO, that means tomorrow NATO might be dominate the whole world. It does to some degree now, but there are challenges. Russia is challenging NATO, China is challenging NATO. So there are some challenges, and counter powers do exist in the world, and the world will be much better place when there is checks and balance. Okay, when there is multipolarity. Okay, so if India supports expansion and strengthens NATO, we may end up creating a that Frankenstein monster that we cannot control anymore. So yes, India, whether should strengthen or expand NATO is not in India's interest, not necessarily. But what is in India's interest is better India USA and better India Europe ties. Okay, we can deal or have better India USA ties and India Europe ties without being part of NATO. That is true, and we can have strategic military relation with these countries to counter China, okay, or Pakistan, or China-Pakistan nexus. That we can do, but that doesn't mean that we have to be part of NATO to do all these things. So yes, not necessary. You can answer it this way. What is your opinion about this statement? Give reasons and example to support your answer. We don't want to create a monster that we can't control. Okay, the world will be a better place if there are checks and balances, and if we support one, then that means we alienate another. Okay, and we don't want that. We don't want a confrontational situation, or we don't want to create a complexity out of the already complex geopolitics. If you look at the geopolitics now, because of the expansion of NATO and that fear that Russia will be surrounded, Russia-Ukraine war still is going on. Okay, that is the outcome of expansion and strengthening NATO. Do we want any more wars? No, this is not the era of war, as our Prime Minister said. So these are the things you can talk over here. Sea is an important component of cosmos. Very interesting statement, okay, and very abstract also. Achha, discuss in light of the above statement the role of IMO in protecting environment and enhancing maritime safety and security. ये तो आप आराम से लिख सकते हो if you have read about it. But how do you discuss or justify this? That sea is important component of cosmos. First, see, if you look Earth as a system, the only source of energy for us is sun, right? But all parts of Earth don't get the sunlight equally. The tropics get maximum of the energy, where the other parts of the Earth do not get enough energy. So ocean or sea are very critical. They are and most importantly, ocean and sea are critical because they circulate the temperature. They distribute the ocean currents, the sea currents, they distribute the excessive energy from the tropics towards the poles, so that the tropics is bit cooled off, whereas other parts of the world also get little bit of energy. If think about this, there has been reports also that if because of climate change and global warming, we have in Atlantic Ocean we have a particular ocean current called Gulf Stream. इफ़ दैट वीकेंस क्या होगा, पूरा यूरोप डिवास्टेट हो जाएगा, ठीक है. वाई? बिकॉज ocean currents distribute, not only distribute energy, to distribution of energy and circulation of energy, they distribute and circulate life around the earth. Okay, so that you have to discuss. So here you have to establish how the ocean or sea are important component of the earth system, and if because of climate change, because of global warming, ocean current and sea, if their vitality is affected, then see, and because of ocean and sea turbulence we get our monsoon. If you look at ENSO also, that is a oscillation only, circulation, oceanic circulation. So if there is no cyclones, if there is no no monsoon, then what will happen? No agriculture, no, our food systems will fail, our oceanic systems will fail, fish rich zones will not be there, जहाँ पे cold water current and hot ocean current, cold and hot current of the ocean do meet, those are fish rich zones. So fish rich zones will not be there anymore. So they are important part of the cosmos. First establish why it is an important part of cosmos. Okay, and second part you can talk about IMO. Okay, so we are done with the discussion. So if you have any doubts or anything, you can ask me in the comment section. And thank you. From October first week onwards, we will be launching our UPSC prelims program, UPSC mains program, and essay program, as well as mentorship program. So keep subscribe to our channel to stay updated. Thank you.